we have our first official tournament that actually works. So we get to see which trios are looking the best coming into globals, and some of our big names popping off like Clicks, Kanata, Marius, whereas some of our other names like Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual having a terrible day one. Peterbot going into his thoughts about where he's dropping in globals and why he's not going to be leaving the drop spot and why he will be contesting Frodoxy. It was a crazy day. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Now, this is exciting. This is our first chance to actually see how these trios are looking coming into globals in a tournament that actually works. Fortnite has fixed the crashing bug. You can still crash for a bunch of other reasons because it's Fortnite, but the main bug that was causing 40 people in one lobby to crash has been fixed. Now, NA Central had its own issues. The tournament had to get delayed by an hour because there was an Epic Games wide bug. This wasn't just Fortnite, don't panic. It isn't something specifically with Fortnite. It was something with Epic Games. Apex Legends, Rocket League, a bunch of other games were affected as well. But NA Central ended up running, so we actually have a leaderboard where we can look at and see which trios are looking good right now in the new meta. Now, remember, this is Div Cup format. It's the same as last season, so it is 2 rounds. The top 33 teams from both days combined make the finals. This is only day one, so this leaderboard will change, but it's a good look at which trios are looking great coming into globals and who's adapting to the meta. On NA, unsurprisingly, we saw quite a few of our globals teams popping off. We had Rapid, Kanata, and Bolt in first place on 545. Their first 3 games were insane. They came out with a 26 elim second, 32 elim 5th, and a 44 elim win back to back to back. They slowed down a little bit in the middle, and then towards the end got a 23 elim win to hold on to first, and they just beat out, no surprise here, Clicks, Higgs, and Yomzu actually had the complete opposite. They had a terrible start and a really strong finish. They got a 3 elim 25th, 1 elim 30th, 6 elim 23rd, before then getting an 18 elim 7th, which is worth pointing out. That was actually Higgs and Yomzu who duo clutched that after Clicks crashed. They had 3 bad games, then Clicks crashed to kick off game 4, and I thought, oh man, the mental is going to be ruined. But after that duo clutch, that turned things around. Then they got a 15 elim 2nd, 11 elim 3rd, 29 elim win, 40 elim win, and then a 15 elim 18. So really bringing it back in the second half of the tournament. In third, we had a new trio, which I never thought I'd see. G-Money and Rise replacing Aviv with Josh. One of the players they've been contesting at Outpost and had an insane season against have now joined forces for trios. Again, because we only have a few more weeks of trios before globals, and then we're going back to duos, I'm not focusing too much on who the new trios are. I'm still mostly focusing on globals. It's cool to see some of these new trios and see how they're doing, like Curve, Tyler, and Craze, who came in 4th, but for the most part, I'm going to be focusing on the globals trios. And talking about them, we had Phaser, PH Zin, and King, who are still in NA, still getting their practice, coming in 8th overall. We had Reed, Cooper, and Curly coming in 13th. Reed has been trying out the new keybinds with the single button reset. In case you guys have missed it, Fortnite's added this new setting where you can actually get single button reset on controller. The only problem is there's no more keybinds on controller. Like, they finally added this, but there's so much other stuff in the game. Controller players can't even really take advantage of it. Reese had to add a paddle to his controller, so he's now playing claw and paddle to try to have this single button reset. And I actually asked Reese his thoughts on this, and he said, honestly, he thinks this is going to be one of the things that can actually bridge the gap between controller and KBM. He's practicing it. He still has his regular edit binds, but he now has this as a second edit bind, so he can use it when he needs to, but then still have his muscle memory of his regular editing. I've personally started using it on mouse and keyboard as well, because one of the biggest issues I had was I would try and scroll wheel reset a wall, I would reset it, and then I would scroll again and I would grab the wall again, and that would mess me up. With this new setting, that's not possible. Now, some pros have pointed out this new setting does feel a little bit strange. Like, it kind of messes with your muscle memory and the timing because it resets even faster. Kind of feels like when you turn simple edits on and you can't scroll wheel reset your pre-edits anymore. So if you're running pre-edits, it's a bit annoying. But if you want to try it out for yourself, if you go to your settings at the very bottom, the last setting with edit, you can set that to your current edit bind. For me, it's scroll wheel down, and test it out and see if you like it. Personally, I'm loving it because getting stuck on scroll wheeling walls happened a lot, but I'm just old and slow. But if you're a controller player and you finally have single button reset, give it a try. Again, you probably run out of keybinds, but Reed's been trying this out and I've been talking about it, and he said it's been making him play a little bit worse right now, but he thinks it's going to make him far better by global. So I'm excited to see how that goes for Reed. We had Aegis, Acorn, and Poyo in 14th. They played pretty solid. They had a bit of an up and down tournament. When they made endgame, they popped off, but they did have a lot of mid-game deaths overall as well. And then you're probably noticing there's a big team missing on this list. There is no Pete, Cold, and Ritual, and they had a terrible tournament. They managed to go through all 10 of their games in an hour and 45 minutes. they finished basically halfway through the tournament on 172 points. Almost all of their points came on the back of a 42 elim second, which was in like their 7th game. They really did have a rough tournament, but honestly, Cold played insane in that game. He had over 20 kills by himself. I am genuinely so excited for solo cash cups to return in this meta. With the movement medallions, the exotic pumps, the mythic havocs, all the crazy weapons, it is going to be so fun to make solo react videos again and get solo VOD review content going for you guys who do want to improve. But watching Cold pop off in this game with his loadout had me excited, but overall, it was a terrible tournament for Pete's trio. They're now going to have like a 450 point day 2 if they even want to make it to the finals. So we might have our first proper tournament of the season only 3 weeks out from globals, and Pete's team isn't playing. Now, if you watched any of Faxity's stream, you probably already saw this. Pete actually jumped on and had a conversation about everything that's been going on at the moment, and he went on to talk about how he is just losing passion for the game. He said he's just not enjoying the game right now. Last grand finals when he won it, it was amazing because he got to take down Asia's Acorn and Poyo in game 12, dropped on it, made it really exciting. But he said the grands before that where he beat Clicks, he didn't even really care that much, and honestly, one of the only things he's enjoying right now is the idea of performing on LAN. The actual game itself, he doesn't really have the passion to get on and grind like he's been doing. He also discussed his drop spot and his position coming into globals and why he thinks he'll beat Frodoxy, but I'll talk about that in a little bit after I recap EU. Over on EU, we had a lot of our non-LAN teams actually popping off. We had Sky, Scroll, and Sanguild coming first on 527. They did just beat out Vanya, Pixie, and Marius, who are looking insanely good. Watching Marius and Pixie play in this meta right now is so incredibly fun. Them getting exotics super consistently, jumping down. Pixie's been running the double pump a lot, like the Sentinel Revolver combo. It's been really, really fun to watch them. We had Vico, Veno, Flixie in 4th on 497. They're looking extremely strong as well. A 37 elim win in their first game. Chris, Tayson, and Chicho also coming out firing on 455, just beating out Chino, Pablo, and Frodoxy. So both these teams only need like 200 points on day 2. So I'm guessing as long as both these teams don't completely choke, we are going to see Frodoxy and Tayson go at it in the finals, which will be very, very exciting. It's one of the things that's a little bit annoying coming into globals. We're talking about, you know, how is Pete going to do against Fred and Tayson? How are these spawn fights going to go when they're cross region? We just don't really get to see it. At least we get to see Frodoxy and Tayson go at it, so we get to kind of see how the spawn fight plays out, but unfortunately we won't get to see obviously all 3 teams going at it. Now we had Ping, Walks, and Malabuka also absolutely dominating in 7th, Pix, Dam, and Damus in 10th. Overall, pretty much all of the EU LAN teams doing extremely well, none of them really struggling. We did have Mr. Savage as well doing well, but he's playing alongside Vidil. Chat, Mr. Savage and Vidil coming in 24th on 351 points, and no, there's no drama with Rezon. He's taking a break. Rezon's gone away to Greece for, I believe, a week, so he's missing this week's Div Cups. He will be back next week. But Chap, Savage, and Vidil were looking really, really solid. I am a bit sad to see we haven't got to kind of see how Rezon's doing with this trio in the new season so close to globals. Now, speaking of the spawn fight over at Rangers that we're going to see between Frodoxy and Tayson, Peterbot did give his thoughts on why he's not leaving the drop spot and why he thinks he will be able to dominate at globals even if he's contested. This is what he had to say.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
so
I was
like
trying
I'm
to
not
say
worried
earlier.
about the off spawn. As long as one of the 3 teams leave, then I don't think the off spawn will be a problem at all.
And y'all will kill them for sure in a normal 3v3 in my opinion.
Either team, bro, easily. What, dude? They're so bad at fighting, both the teams. Like they genuinely suck at fighting.
Just don't want to go to the
And it's a fighting drop spot. It's not 50-50 at all. That's why I don't like when kids are like saying all this like Frodoxy's like the best off spawn. Yeah, he's really good in 50-50 drops. Don't get me wrong, but like unfortunately it's not a 50-50 drop, and I don't really think it'll matter, you know?
Yeah.
Because like when we're both having guns off spawn and then like some mats, we're gonna win that. You can't beat mythic POIs uncon. You can't. Unless you're like literally the best players in the game.
How about
And
Nada?
I don't think
Nada has a chance.
that's like no, he does not have a chance. 0% chance.
What?
You can't beat mythic POIs with slurp juices, every single thing in the game, uncon every game. You're playing against people that literally have the game in easy mode, bro. It's not fair. Like there's no chance. If the 2 teams are uncontested, they're playing for first and second. No other team can win. Like I don't know if you like. Everyone has good loot, but when you think about like win conditions in the game, it's trios. One team has a slide coin, one team has a jump coin. So one team is getting front low ground or front high ground every single game. So think about it. Every single game, Queasy or Poyo is gonna be on high or low. They're gonna like be like on different spots, you know? Yeah. And you can't do anything about it because their coins are broken, their loot's broken. Like they have everything to beat everyone off.
I swear that's why Peter started landing at mythics and stuff.
You can't.
He just realized there's no point to compete without it on my life.
So despite a lot of people thinking that Pete might be moving contesting Poyo, he might contest Queasy like I've been talking about, it looks like he's pretty confident staying at Rangers as long as one of the teams leaves, and it looks like he's confident that one of them will. I don't know whether he thinks it's going to be Tayson, whether it's going to be Fortnite that leaves. It seems like based on his conversation about being able to beat Fortnite when it comes to an actual fight, it looks like he's confident that Tayson will be the team to leave. Now, I don't know how sure I am in that situation as well. Tayson has literally thrown LAN events in the past. He was involved in the triple or quad con, whatever it was, over at Kondo years ago when it was him versus Aqua and Malibuka, and it was just one of the most dreadful spawn fights and none of them left. So I know that was a while ago, but Tayson's already proven he is willing to throw a LAN event triple contesting a POI. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, I also wanted to hear kind of people's thoughts on what was going on with the different POIs around the map, who's going to win. Pete also explained that he doesn't think anyone is going to win unless they're going a mythic POI. So he doesn't think Kanata, Clicks, any of these other teams that have good uncontested POIs are going to win, because if they're not going a mythic, they're just not going to win. The loot difference is just too good. It doesn't matter if you have mid-map, you have crazy loot. If you don't have mythics, you don't have the medallions, you don't have slurps, you are just not winning in Pete's opinion. And if he thinks that, it would make sense for why he won't leave the mythic POI then. He might as well contest one of them, and this is the one that he thinks he can do the best at and can fight at and actually do well. It makes sense. It genuinely makes sense for why Pete won't leave that. If he goes over to Demons, it's more of a 50-50, and again, he doesn't think that's going to be playing into his strengths. He doesn't want to drop on Queasy like we talked about in the last video, because he doesn't think he'll win, and he has a lot of respect for how Queasy plays off spawn. So that really only leaves one of the mythic POIs left, so he just has to hope that one of them leaves and then does well in the fight. There is potentially another option, and I'm going to give Reet credit for this one. I didn't come up with this. Reet actually mentioned in my stream that he has a feeling the reason why Clicks has all of a sudden started looking at OXR and potentially talking about leaving Supernova is because Frodoxy has said something to him about how he wants to go back to Supernova. Now, I don't know how much I believe that. Frodoxy has shown no sign of this on stream. It's a cool theory. I like the idea from Reet. It does fit a few moving parts together. It is worth mentioning again to follow up on where Clicks is dropping. They were dropping Supernova in all games of the opens, which kind of hurts that theory a little bit, but I know I've been talking about it. For whatever reason, Clicks just decided to go OXR for that one session of scrims, hasn't addressed it, hasn't talked about it, and now everyone's just trying to come up with theories. And Reed's theory honestly makes sense as much as most of the other ones. Again, most people are just saying that if the loot drones get nerfed, Supernova gets nerfed, Clicks wants to go back to OXR. But I don't know if I fully agree with that one as well. So I want to hear your guys' theory as well. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with Reed's take, or if you think Frodoxy or Tayson's gonna leave, because honestly, I know you guys look for me for my opinion. I have no idea. The fact that we have weeks of tournaments leading up to it, we don't get to see these teams actually spawn fight, kind of makes me confused as to what is going to happen here. Maybe we get Frodoxy versus Tayson in finals this weekend on EU. Frodoxy absolutely blitzes Tayson, or Tayson comes out and puts up a way better fight than people are expecting, and then one of them decides the fight isn't worth it, and that gives Pete his single con, which is what he wants. But if Fred and Tayson both just refuse to leave, does that mean Pete will now leave? Because he talked about how he can win it if he's going up against one team, but if it's two teams, does he eventually break what he thinks is the best idea and goes and contests someone else? But at least we now have the answer from Peterbot, at least at this point, that he is going to be going a mythic POI. He will not be dropping anywhere else. If you guys want to see how solos is playing out in the meta, I'm actually hosting the first ever solo cash cup today. As of you guys watching this video, you guys can join in and play if you want. The games are starting at 5 p.m. ET. We're hosting them on NA Central. Anyone can join, anyone can play, anyone can make money. You just have to join the Discord in the description down below. I'm also hosting a pro lobby where I've invited 100 of the best players in NA. They're going to compete in 3 games of victory cups. I'm going to be watching them and casting them. Don't worry, if you miss my stream, you don't see that. I will also be turning into a YouTube video. I am so excited for the return of solos. We are going to make some insane content around this.